Greetings. This is part two in a series of conversations with Alan Arnette. Alan is a coach, keynote speaker, mountaineer, and Alzheimer's advocate. He summited Everest in 2011 and became the oldest American to summit K2 at the age of 58 on his birthday in July of 2014. Outside magazine called Alan one of the world's most respected chroniclers of Everest. If you have not seen part one of our conversation about the future of Everest, make sure you click the tab in the upper corner of this video. In this part of our conversation, Alan and I talk a little bit about his beginnings, how he got a very late start into the world of mountaineering, the age of 38. Fascinating story that he tells. And he also talks passionately about the garbage and human waste problem on Everest. I hope you'll enjoy this. And before we get started, make sure you take a moment out, if you haven't already, to subscribe to this channel, like and comment, and let me know what you think. Enjoy. Alan, your knowledge of Everest is vast, and people seek you out for the factual information about it, but emotionally, not just Everest, but all the big mountains of the world, but emotionally and intellectually, you have a deep tie to it. And I would love for you to share with me what we were just talking about before the record button was hit. You actually got a somewhat of a late start in the game for high altitude mountaineering, as my cat makes an appearance.
I love her.
That's Simba. He is in dire need of attention. But yeah, tell me a little bit about that, because it's fascinating to get started. I was 27 and I thought I was late to the game.
Yeah, I've got this consulting business where I help people get into mountaineering called Summit Coach. And one of the questions I often get are from people that are like 18 and they say, Alan, I want to go climb Mount Everest. I don't have any money or any experience. And oh, by the way, I want to do it next year. Or or I get the other end of the spectrum. I've got a 72-year-old client with his 59-year-old girlfriend, and they want to go do the 7 summits in 1 year. And she's done Kilimanjaro, and that's about it. But I also get the people in the middle that are in their early 40s and, they're successful in life, successful in personal relationships, but they've reached a point where they want to do something for themselves. And Tom, I've always believed that, at least for me, that my life is an equilateral triangle, and that all three sides, and I never make this, I'm never successful in doing this, but is work, family, and me. And trying to keep that triangle balanced. And it's been situational, throughout my entire life as I struggled to get that balance. So when I began, I got an electrical engineering degree from the University of Memphis in 1979. That'll date me. And but I knew I was never going to be a good engineer, but I knew I had good communication skills, and I could process a lot of information and kind of distill it down to what are the salient facts. So I went into sales with Hewlett Packard, and I did that in Dallas for about 8 years. And I moved here to Fort Collins, Colorado in the late 80s, and eventually over to Europe in the late 90s. But that whole first, 15, 20 years of my career, I was heads down workaholic, work, family, nothing for me, nothing for family, all work. And, and I was successful, but it came at a cost. And so I was in Geneva, Switzerland, running this really big organization. And I've told this story before, but so, I had several thousand employees, $500 million in revenue, profit, loss. And so my financial person came in, Muriel from France. And so she came in late July and she says, Alan, I will see you in September. And I have no idea where these accents come from. So I said, September, Muriel, what are you talking about? What happened to August? And she goes, oh, yes, that's right. You're an American. You don't have any idea about living your life. All you know how to do is to work. I'm French. We take off the month. We go to the beach. We go to the mountains. We're with family. We drink wine. We eat cheese. We get to know each other. We renew. We relax. And then I come back and I work hard again for you. Bye-bye. She turned around and walked away.
Wow.
So, and I began to think about that. And I thought, what? She is exactly spot on. I mean, my career was going well. Everything was going well on that one leg of the triangle. But So then I decided that, I'd done a couple of 14,000 foot mountains here in Colorado, and I could look out my window in Geneva and see Mont Blanc. So I hired a French guide to take me up. And this guy, he must have thought I was like, where did this guy come from? But I fell in love with the whole atmosphere of climbing, the crunch of the crampons in the snow, seeing the sunrise from the summit, the cold. I just fell in love with it, Tom. Just fell in love with it. So I then did a trek to Everest Base Camp, and I saw the majesty of the Himalayas and the Buddhism and the Sherpas and old ladies spinning prayer wheels and the little kids playing with sticks, happy as a clam. And I just realized that there's a lot more to this planet and to our existence in it and our ability to make a contribution than just get heads down, just working all the time. And that was an inflection point in my life, and it started at age 38.
That's absolutely fascinating. So you really did make a difference. And as a person who starts at 38, you'd figure to tag Everest would be enough. Oh. But you've done now 38 some odd expeditions. K2 is that, to me, is like doing Everest 5 times. And at the age of 58, however you knock that one off, that's actually something, that's a whole side note, I think, that we could talk about someday. So kind of trying to put a little bit of a bow and a ribbon on it real quick. Let me just ask you, talking about Leave No Trace, about 1.5 years ago, I did a symposium, if you will, on the garbage crisis and the human waste crisis on Everest. It seems to me that a lot of the problem are people trying to get away with dumping garbage and human waste and getting by all the rules and regulations put in place. Do you have any thoughts on that, and what might be the best way to keep the mountain clean moving forward?
It's inexcusable to me. We have role models and case studies around the world. Aconcagua used to be just a poop pile. Denali, the National Park Service has done a great job there. But even then, they would take the so-called clean mountain cans, which, you poop in a bag. They would then take those bags on the way down and throw them into a crevasse. And so now studies are showing the groundwater to being polluted in the general area of Denali. So they're stopped that practice. Except we go, duh, we're now finally learning how to do it. Elbrus is still just horrible. Kilimanjaro, they've got toilets on it, but it also is pretty bad. Everest, the Chinese have done, to your point, opening it up, they've done a fairly decent job of understanding that, if you destroy your mountain, then you're going to destroy a cash cow. It doesn't hurt that they're building this huge mountaineering museum in Tingri, in order to attract people on a high-speed train from Beijing, to turn into Everest on the north side into Disneyland, but they're cleaning up the mountain. That's the key, that's the senior point. Nepal, plenty of opportunity for improvement. I was talking to one Nepali company. I said, why don't you use blue bags, wag bags, basically the plastic bag that you poop in, and then have your clients bring it down. They said, oh no, that's $1 a bag. And you know how many bags we'd use? So raise your price by $50. I don't know a single climber in the world that wouldn't pay an extra $50 to keep the mountain clean. And, the lower camps are getting better and better, but the high camp, like at the South Col, is just, the problem is that I remember being there and I asked him, where do I go, do a number 2? And the guy goes, anywhere. I was like, really?
Yeah.
And so you walk around and you see just these little turds frozen into the ground because there's only 1/3 of the oxygen. It doesn't disintegrate, doesn't deteriorate. And the wind, it's not strong enough, even though it's 150 miles an hour, because it's frozen into the ground. So you've got this, this turd field at the South Col, which is disgusting.
Yeah. So that's the garbage thing. Alan, tell me about you. Do you have any future plans? Are you going to go back climbing, or are you more of a summit coach? Because summit coaching is a part of your business. What ambitions do you have for the future in terms of mountaineering?
I think I can say with 99.9% certainty, my 8,000 meter days are over. It's July. This is July 12th. In 15 days, I turned 66. I just went
Mm.
on Medicare last year, damn it. So, but I have been incredibly lucky. I mentioned this before we started recording that, I was born and raised in Memphis, Tennessee, at elevation 318. And to have climbed the mountains that I have, the only word I have is gratitude. And I've been able to parlay my passion of mountain climbing with a purpose of being an Alzheimer's advocate to honor my mother, Ida, who died from Alzheimer's, and to use that to, I think, have a life that I never ever dreamed of. And so I'm now I've kind of done Alan 1.0, Alan 2.0, and I'm now kind of in the design phase of Alan 3.0. And I think the catchphrase would be to give back. I have been given a gift and I feel a responsibility to be able to give back. And one of the ways is through the ongoing chronicling of, the high altitude climbs and trying to be transparent and authentic in my reporting, not to be sensationalized, and just, be respectful of everybody there, do my part to contribute to helping make these mountains a cleaner, safer place to the extent that I have any ability to influence, but I do my best. And then to work with people, especially young people. Thom, I'm very concerned that climate change is changing the composition of all of these mountains. We're seeing it this year. I just got a message this morning that people on Gasherbrum too, that it's mush on the mountains. Anchors are giving out. They're rappelling and scared to death because they're afraid the anchor is going to give out because it's so warm on the mountain. They just stopped climbing on Nanga Parbat for the same reason. Rain at 5,000 meters, which is unheard of at this time of year. As horrible as that is, I see an opportunity, and that is for the younger generation, the ones that are probably 12 years old now, that when they're 20, not 38, that they go to these same mountains that we've been celebrating and enjoying for centuries or for at least decades, that they go and they pioneer new routes that are safer and more doable. Probably in our lifetime, the Western Coombe and the Khumbu Icefall will become unclimbable. I'm pretty sure of that. Just because of the melting of the snow, the movement of the glacier, the size of the crevasses. So then Nepal's going to have to make a decision, and the community will, that is taking a helicopter into camp too. Is that considered appropriate? I mean, they take a helicopter now into base camp, and 50 years ago, you never would have done that. 30 years ago, you wouldn't have done that. So maybe that's part of, an inconvenient trend that we're going to see things having to change to accommodate the world in which we live. I'm not going to sit here and say it's right or wrong, but I will sit here and say that it's probably going to happen. And then we're going to have to make a decision whether climbing in a style that was appropriate 50 years ago, which is today suicidal, why would you go do that when you have an alternative? And so we'll see what happens.
In a couple of days, I'll release the third in a series of my conversations with Alan, where we talk a little bit about the Mallory and Irvin mystery and how things are done in China and what awaits us in the future. If you haven't already, check out some of the other videos. I'll put a tab in the upper corner of this video to click the Everest playlist. There's plenty for you here. I hope you enjoy it. Let me know what you think. Have a great day.